What's up? So with the release of the new flintlock pistol, I've been getting a lot of reminiscent memories of situations in seasons past where a new gun would release and everyone would just freak out saying, oh my god, this thing is so overpowered. For some of you older players, I'm sure you remember some of these guns, and if you're not an older player, this list is going to be absolutely hilarious to you. Because a lot of the time what would happen is before people would even get to use the weapon, they would see someone like Ninja use it, where he's gonna wreck someone with anything, and then everyone would go, oh my god, this is broken. But yeah, it's just really funny to look back on guns that people thought were overpowered and then view them in the framework that we look at them today. Anyways, if you guys can subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. Now let's get into it. Okay, so this is a list of 10, but the first thing on our list that I just need to draw attention to is the flintlock pistol itself. So I guess coming in at number 11 is the flintlock pistol. I don't really think this thing is overpowered. I mean, it takes up an entire slot and you only have a single shot of it. So like, you know, to me really this is just like another sniper. It's a close range sniper and it does quite a bit of damage if you hit to the head, but I don't think it's necessarily overpowered. I don't want to make a broad assumption yet, but I've been seeing a lot of people saying, oh my god, this thing needs to be nerfed. And my initial premonition of this one is just the fact that I think people are overreacting. Anyway, since that's new though, we're not technically including it in our top 10. Now let's move on though to the 10th spot. Okay, so the first gun that we're gonna talk about is the FAMAS. So this is a gun that I don't really think people thought was OP because of its effectiveness or its usage, but more just kind of like what it stood for. Before the FAMAS got released into the game, there was only one gold assault rifle, and it was the SCAR. You had like the normal basic assault rifles and then purple and gold SCAR, and in contrast to that, you had the burst rifles, but there was no purple and gold variant. But when the FAMAS came out, it felt like, oh my god, this is gonna be the SCAR, but a burst. And it obviously never turned out to be like that. Now, I didn't mind the FAMAS. I didn't love the burst. I've always said that. But really, to me, the FAMAS was, it was a fine weapon, but it certainly wasn't a great weapon. I know a lot of people like this thing. Personally, I didn't. But I think at the end of the day, it is quite laughable to think of this weapon as being overpowered. Because when you think of overpowered weapons, you think of like the drum gun, the LMG, double pump. You don't think of the FAMAS. All right, number 9 is the turret. So there is a little bit of truth to this one because when the turret was initially released, like day one, first 5 hours, it had way more health than it does now. I think it originally had like 1600 or something, and then it got reduced down to 800 or maybe 800 to 400. And the other issue with it was that you couldn't really shoot someone out of their turret. But even after that got patched, I think there was still a lot of hatred for the turret. The turret's not a bad weapon, and I mean, it's useful if you have a not so good teammate that can just kind of pin down the enemy. But I mean, realistically, this isn't like, you know, the meta of Fortnite. It was never the meta of Fortnite, and really I think the reason people didn't like it is because it kind of gave noobs an opportunity to do pretty good. So while there was a brief moment where the turret was actually overpowered, even after that, people continued to say that it was very broken when I even myself, I said that, and looking back, I definitely disagree. All right, at number 8, we have the scoped thermal. This one is really funny to me, but there's a lot of moving parts to it, so let me try to explain easily. First of all, people were complaining that it was a thermal, so it was like,
oh my god, it's like the target finder of Call of Duty. It's gonna be so easy to see people. That's unfair.
I mean, like, okay, I guess so, but I've never felt like outplayed because someone had a thermal scope and I didn't. And then the next thing was people started to compare it to the scoped assault rifle. Now, I'm a fan of the scoped assault rifle. I think it's actually a pretty good weapon. It encourages accuracy and there's no bloom on it. So people kind of just took that and extrapolated to, well, what if this thing goes from like doing 23, 24-ish damage up to like 37 or however much damage it does. And then people concluded that, yeah, okay, this is gonna be super overpowered. It wasn't. It really wasn't. I mean, there's just not a lot of people that seriously use the scope thermal. I think it's the same as the FAMAS. Like, there's a small player base that are like, man, this thing shreds. But you never see pros using this gun. You never see most people using this gun because it's just not that effective. Don't get me wrong, it's something that I will use if I need to, but I'm certainly going to take a sniper over a scoped thermal. All right, now at number 7, this is a little bit more recent, but these are bottle rockets. So this is something that was a little bit interesting because even before it got released, people were already asking for it to be removed. So these essentially replaced boomboxes, which I would agree are actually kind of overpowered and is why they're not going to be on this list. But bottle rockets kind of felt like a replacement for the boombox. People saw what it could do to a building and they just said, well, oh my God, this thing is going to just be another boombox. It's going to make building absolutely impossible. And it's no fair. But the funny thing about this was it was all from that one little trailer. It had nothing to do with actual gameplay. People just saw it in trailer mode. Trailer mode, that's not what I meant to say. People saw the trailer, they said, oh my God, this is gonna just nerf building again. It's overpowered. Remove it. It's not even in the game yet, but remove it. Don't put it in. And it just, like, bottle rockets were a joke. Boomboxes felt a little bit overpowered, but bottle rockets, I mean, if you're really gonna sacrifice one of your item slots for bottle rockets, I think that you are insane. Anyways, moving on to our number 6 spot. This is a bit of an interesting one. This is the minigun. So I've always been a big proponent that the minigun is not a good weapon. The thing with the minigun is I feel like it's very good if you're a noob and you don't know how to play, but it's really just not a skillful weapon. Even sometimes when I have a shotgun, if I come across someone with a minigun, start of the game, it's very easy to die by one. But I wouldn't go on to say that the minigun is overpowered. The minigun is like a cheap out to being a decent player, but this isn't like the Infinity Blade. This isn't double pump, okay? When the minigun first came out, a lot of people were like, oh my God, this is gonna be the base destroyer, the destruction of doom, and it wasn't. At number 5, we have the PortaFort. Okay, bear with me, not a damaging weapon, but this is one of the best on this list. I couldn't not include it. Now that I'm actually talking about each one of these, I'm seeing a common theme as they mostly relate to building. Either giving a noob a lot of firepower with the turret or the minigun, or nerfing building. Well, actually not with the FAMAS or the scope thermal either, so never mind. But anyways, hear me out. Okay, the PortaFort is a 3-story structure. To get to the top of a PortaFort, you need to, again, to clarify, you know this, build 3 ramps to get to it. The idea of the PortaFort was that it would allow noobs to get the high ground on players. Again, 3 ramps, and you're up there. When this got announced, people started freaking out. This is gonna ruin building. They're just trying to give noobs all the things to make them better, and it didn't turn out that way at all. Like, the PortaFort is a laughable item. And you could absolutely go on to say the exact same thing about the PortaFortress. While it was a little bit better and it was a bit of a more formidable force, you know, you'd see a few guys in a PortaFortress up ahead. Okay, we gotta tackle that. Smart, but the PortaFort, absolutely not. And I would never say that the PortaFortress was overpowered. It was just a thing that was in the game that you had to deal with. But especially with the PortaFort, there were just cries of outrage from the community that this thing needed to get removed. At number 4, we have dual-wield pistols. Now, I'm a fan of the dual-wield pistols early game. I especially feel like if it's something that I get and I'm not going up against an SMG or a shotgun, I am going to come out of that gunfight with a win. With a kill, not a win. Not a victory royale. No. It's not that good, but people thought that it was that good. I'm not sure if they still do, but I know when they originally dropped, they did 44 per shot. So if you landed both, you do 88. But if you did a headshot with one, you do 88 and 44, or 88 and 88. So the damage on these things is actually pretty high. They're kind of like a medium to like medium short range distance, not effective like a shotgun, but if you got a lucky 88, like that, you're doing a lot of damage. So when these first came out, like you just saw the statistics, you saw sometimes how lucky you could get with them and how much damage you could do, and it really just had a lot of people, myself included, thinking, dang, these seem overpowered. My camera just died. My camera is poop. Like actual poop. Okay, where was I? Anyways, I completely lost my train of thought, but The moral of the story is the dual wield pistols are good. If you land some lucky shots, you're gonna get some lucky kills, but it's not a late game weapon. They're not overpowered, and I would certainly rather a shotgun early game than dual wield pistols. Okay, at number 3, we have an interesting one, but a funny one. This is the hand cannon. So for a little bit of background information, when the hand cannon was released, the double pump was removed the exact same day. So what that meant in the minds of Fortnite players was that this weapon is a replacement to the double pump. So everyone just thought, you know what? It's time to double deagle. But the first week of that, I think it was not season, but that patch anyways, everyone was on the double deagle train. Double deagle, it's OP, man. Just pow, pow, pow. And funny because you never see anybody do that anymore. I used to see a lot of deagle pump, but not even really that anymore. Now, the other thing that you have to understand is when I say the deagle, like the deagle has gone through a lot of changes. It started out doing 75 everywheres, but there was no first shot accuracy. Then first shot accuracy was added, so it did less damage at range, but it could be more accurate. Once it got there, not really many people used it until it got the huge buff of being able to break pretty much any wall, and then people started using a lot. Then they kind of nerfed that, so it's only really good against newly placed structures. And now you have the deagle today. A fine weapon, I like it, but it's not crazy overpowered. But even that original deagle that didn't have first shot accuracy and did 75 damage everywhere, people were like,
oh my god, this is the end of Fortnite. This is just gonna be double pump all over again. Now all the good players are just gonna get everything and it's just no fair.
And that didn't happen. The double deagle was a stupid idea. No one ran double deagle after like a week because it wasn't a viable strategy to find 2 deagles in a game. And even when you did, it was just stupid. And to wrap it all up, this is one of the most prime examples of people seeing streamers doing something crazy, being like,
oh my god, they're so good with this thing, even though they're good with everything.
And being like, okay, well then this must be broken. Most people couldn't double deagle efficiently. Ninja could, because he's Ninja, but not everybody is Ninja. And now moving on to our number 2 spot, this is the best example of a gun that on day 1, people started calling overpowered because of a streamer's clip. On day 1, Ninja got a win with the heavy shotgun. It was basically just a double pumping technique, but with the heavy, and people lost their minds. Because double pump had recently kind of been nerfed, people were like, okay, that's gone. And then this came back, people saw Ninja do well with it, and everybody just said, no, remove it. Day 1, this needs to leave the game. The heavy shotgun's a good weapon, but it's not overpowered. But basically, like that one single clip of Ninja managed to convince the entire population of Fortnite that this thing needed to be removed. It's really funny looking back on it because like now the heavy pump is just so much better. But yeah, this was one that I always thought was really funny. And is our number 2 spot. Because coming in at number 1, we've got a gun that had the same levels of this thing is overpowered, but looking at it today, you realize, like, oh my god, what was the community thinking? At number 1, we have the silenced pistol. So the first thing you gotta remember about the original silenced pistol is that it came in variants of gold and purple, not what it is today. The silenced pistol is not a very good gun. It's never been a good gun. It's an okay gun. But that's it. When this thing originally dropped, it was like, this is the gold pistol. And if there was a gold gun in the game, like you had the gold Scar, gold sniper, gold rockets, that was basically it. And then they released a gold pistol. So obviously people were thinking, well, this is a gold weapon. It has to be insane. But that's not how Fortnite seems to work with their guns. They just make whatever they want gold now. But back then, this was a big deal. People saw the silenced pistol, they said, oh my god, this thing needs to be nerfed. It shreds, it's a Scar, it's better than this. A lot of people were saying this thing was better than the Scar. And looking back, like, that's just laughable. No one would ever say that today, that the silenced pistol is better than the gold Scar. But because it was a gold weapon and because it was new, the entire community freaked out. And ladies and gentlemen, that's our list. Real quick, I gotta do something and kind of put my money where my mouth is. I've been talking about supporting small creators, so what I want to do from time to time now is actually do just that. I genuinely think it is important to support the small people. So once in a while when I see a creator that I like, I'm just gonna pimp their code. And in today's video, I'm gonna pimp Squatting Dog. This is a guy from the Fortnite subreddit who does cheat sheets for every weekly challenge, and it just shows you literally everything, how to do it, where it is. They're super detailed and they're super helpful. He's not a creator in the sense of a YouTuber, but he helps the community a lot through his things. And this is just something that I thought would be cool to do from time to time. I've got a few other creators in mind that I want to pimp out. But yeah, Squatting Dog in the support a creator shop code. He's a cool guy, and yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are new to the channel and you enjoyed, please feel free to subscribe. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.